Have you ever noticed that the hardest working person isn't always the richest one? Think about it for a second. One person wakes up before sunrise, works 10 or 12 hours every single day, barely takes a break, and still worries about paying bills at the end of the month. Meanwhile, someone else seems much more relaxed. They don't appear to work nearly as hard, yet their income keeps growing year after year. How is that possible? Is life unfair? Is it just luck? Or is there something they understand that most people don't? The answer might surprise you. The biggest difference between people who stay financially stuck and people who build real wealth isn't usually how many hours they work. It's how they think about money. From the time we're kids, we're taught something that sounds completely true. Work hard and you'll be successful. Hard work is important. No one becomes great by being lazy. But here's the problem. Hard work by itself doesn't guarantee wealth. If it did, construction workers, factory workers, delivery drivers, nurses working double shifts, and millions of other incredibly hardworking people would all be millionaires. But that's not what we see. The truth is, hard work creates effort. Smart decisions create wealth. Imagine you're driving a car. You press the gas pedal as hard as you can. The engine is roaring. You're using all your energy. But what if you're driving in the wrong direction? The faster you drive, the farther you get from your destination. Working harder in the wrong direction doesn't bring you closer to success. It only gets you tired faster. Life works the same way. Many people spend years working harder instead of thinking better. They become experts at staying busy. But being busy and making progress are two completely different things. Here's a simple example. Imagine two college students. Both study for 5 hours every day. The first student spends those 5 hours reading random notes, scrolling through old textbooks, and memorizing information that won't even be on the exam. The second student studies the exact topics that matter, practices real questions, and focuses on understanding instead of memorizing. Who do you think gets the better results? Probably the second student. Not because they worked harder, because they worked smarter. Money follows the same rule. The people who become wealthy don't just ask, how can I work more? They ask, how can I create more value with the same amount of effort? That single question changes everything. Now think about someone who owns a small coffee stand. Every morning, they make every drink themselves. Every customer depends on them. If they get sick for one day, the business stops. If they take a vacation, the money stops. Their income is connected directly to their time. Now imagine another coffee shop owner. They hire employees. They create simple systems. Every drink is made the same way. Customers are happy whether the owner is there or not. One business depends on a person, the other depends on a system. Which one has a better chance of growing? Obviously the second one. This is one of the biggest secrets behind wealth. Rich people don't just build jobs, they build systems. A system is something that continues creating value even when you're not personally doing every single task. Think about your favorite YouTube creator. They might spend 1 week making one great video, but after they upload it, thousands or even millions of people can watch it for months or years. They worked once. The value keeps multiplying. The same idea applies to books, apps, online courses, software, businesses, investments. These are all systems that continue working long after the original effort is finished. Most people only think about today's paycheck. Wealthy people think about tomorrow's income. That's a huge difference. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine you're carrying water. You have a bucket. Every trip to the river fills one bucket. Every time you need more water, you have to walk back again. Now imagine spending time building a pipeline instead. Building the pipeline takes longer in the beginning. It's harder. It's frustrating. People might even laugh at you while you're building it. But once it's finished, water keeps flowing even while you're sleeping. Most people spend their entire lives carrying buckets. Very few people build pipelines. Money works exactly the same way. The first path pays you once. The second path can pay you again and again. That's why wealthy people often spend years building something before they see massive results. From the outside, it looks like success happened overnight, but in reality, they were quietly building the pipeline while everyone else was carrying buckets. Here's something else that almost nobody talks about. Your paycheck is not your greatest asset. Your ability to create value is. A paycheck can disappear. A company can lay you off. An industry can change. Technology can replace certain jobs, but if you know how to solve problems, if you know how to learn new skills, if you know how to adapt, you can always create value again. And wherever value is created, money usually follows. That's why investing in yourself often gives the highest return you'll ever earn. Not because it's easy, but because no one can take your knowledge away from you. Someone can steal your wallet. They can't steal your skills. Someone can damage your business. They can't erase your experience. The more useful you become, the more opportunities begin to appear. And that's where everything starts to change. Many people believe that making more money will solve all of their financial problems. It sounds logical. If you earn twice as much, your life should automatically become easier. But that's not always what happens. Have you ever heard about someone getting a raise only to end up just as broke a few months later? It happens all the time. Why? Because income alone doesn't build wealth. Habits do. Imagine two friends. Both receive a bonus of $5,000. The first person immediately buys the newest phone, expensive clothes, and a luxury vacation. For a few weeks, life feels exciting. But after the money's gone, they're right back where they started. The second person also enjoys a small celebration. But then they invest most of the money into learning a valuable skill, starting a side business, or buying an asset that can grow over time. 1 year later, the difference between these two people becomes obvious. One spent money to impress others. The other used money to improve their future. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts you can make. Instead of asking, what can this money buy today? Ask yourself, how can this money make my future better? That single question can completely change your financial life. Here's another mistake many people make. They believe that time equals money. In reality, time is much more valuable than money. If you lose money, you can earn it back. If you lose time, it's gone forever. That's why successful people protect their time. They don't waste hours on things that don't matter. They focus on activities that create long-term results. Imagine spending 3 hours every night watching random videos that you'll forget tomorrow. Now imagine spending those same 3 hours learning video editing, coding, sales, marketing, public speaking, or another valuable skill. At first, both choices feel similar, but after 1 year, the difference is massive. Small daily decisions create big future results. Success rarely happens because of one giant decision. It usually comes from hundreds of small, smart decisions repeated every single day. Another reason many people never become wealthy is because they're afraid of making mistakes. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect business idea, the perfect investment, the perfect opportunity. But perfection doesn't exist. Every successful entrepreneur has failed. Every great investor has made bad investments. Every famous creator has published content that nobody watched. Failure isn't the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. The first time you try, you're probably going to lose your balance. Maybe you'll even fall. Does that mean bicycles don't work? Of course not. It simply means you're learning. Money works the same way. Your first business may not succeed. Your first investment may not grow. Your first project may not attract attention. That's normal. Every mistake teaches you something that books never can. The people who eventually win aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to quit learning. There's another powerful lesson that wealthy people understand. They don't chase money. They chase value. Money is simply a reward for solving problems. Think about the products and services you use every day. Someone created your smartphone. Someone designed your favorite app. Someone built the roads you drive on. Someone delivers your food. Someone created the software companies use every day. Each of those people solved a problem. And because they solved a problem for millions of people, they created enormous value. The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the opportunity usually becomes. That's why instead of asking, how can I make more money? Try asking, what problem can I solve for other people? That question has built countless successful businesses. The truth is, the marketplace doesn't pay you for how hard you work. It pays you for how valuable your work is. A person digging a hole with a shovel may work incredibly hard, but an engineer who designs a machine that digs 1,000 holes a day creates much more value. That's why their income can be dramatically different. The goal isn't to avoid hard work. The goal is to make your hard work create bigger results. And once you understand that, you stop measuring success by how exhausted you feel at the end of the day. Instead, you start measuring success by the value you've created and the systems you've built. That's when your entire way of thinking begins to change. Most people spend their lives trading hours for dollars without ever asking one important question. What happens if I stop working tomorrow? For many people, the answer is simple. The income stops. Bills continue. Stress grows. That's why financial freedom isn't about making a lot of money. It's about creating income that doesn't completely depend on your daily effort. Think about a fruit tree. The person who buys fruit from the grocery store has to keep spending money every week. But the person who plants a fruit tree spends time and effort once. After that, the tree can produce fruit season after season. Wealth works the same way. Many people only collect fruit. A few people plant trees. The first choice gives temporary rewards. The second creates long-term wealth. Now here's something even more important. Your biggest investment isn't the stock market. It isn't real estate. It isn't cryptocurrency. It's your mind. The way you think determines the way you act, and the way you act determines the results you get. If you believe money is impossible to earn, you'll stop looking for opportunities. If you believe successful people are just lucky, you'll never study what they actually do. But if you believe that skills can be learned and problems can be solved, you'll begin seeing opportunities that other people completely ignore. Your mindset becomes your greatest advantage. That's why reading books, learning new skills, and improving your thinking can completely change your future. Every new skill is like adding another tool to your toolbox. The more tools you have, the more problems you can solve. And the more problems you solve, the more valuable you become. Imagine two people applying for the same opportunity. One person knows only one skill. The other knows communication, sales, marketing, leadership, and technology. Who has more options? Who can adapt faster? Who is more likely to earn more over time? The answer is obvious. Skills multiply your opportunities. That's why successful people never stop learning. Even after becoming wealthy, they continue reading, studying, asking questions, and improving themselves. Because they know the world keeps changing. The people who keep learning stay valuable. The people who stop learning slowly fall behind. There's another habit that separates successful people from everyone else. They think long-term. Most people want results today. They start exercising and expect a perfect body in 2 weeks. They start a business and expect huge profits in 1 month. They upload 3 videos and wonder why they aren't famous. Real success doesn't work that way. Think about planting an oak tree. For a long time, almost nothing seems to happen. You water it, you protect it, you wait. Then, year after year, it grows stronger until it becomes something that can survive storms for decades. Success follows the same pattern. The strongest businesses, the best careers, the greatest creators, and the wealthiest investors. Almost all of them spent years building before the world noticed them. People usually admire the success. They rarely see the patience behind it. Here's one final idea to think about. Imagine 2 people climbing the same mountain. The first person keeps looking at how far they still have to go. They become discouraged and eventually stop climbing. The second person looks back every once in a while and notices how far they've already come. That gives them confidence to keep moving. Life is exactly like that. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. If you're learning, if you're improving, if you're creating more value than last year, then you're already moving in the right direction. At the end of the day, wealth isn't created by working until you're exhausted. It's created by combining hard work with smart thinking, valuable skills, patience, and consistent action. So tonight, before you go to sleep, ask yourself one simple question. Am I only working harder, or am I becoming more valuable every single day? Because the moment you start focusing on increasing your value instead of only increasing your hours, your future begins to change. And remember this, hard work will open the door, but smart thinking, continuous learning, and creating value are what keep that door open for the rest of your life.